It is language goal season, so welcome back to yet another language reflection / language goals video. This year, unfortunately, there's not going to be too much of a reflection of my goals part because I didn't really set any concrete goals because I knew that this year was going to be kind of crazy, a little chaotic, so I treated languages more as something on the side. The most concrete goal I probably set was my Dutch reading goal, which I wanted to read 20 books or 2 million words and learn to speak. Spoiler alert, that did not happen. For Korean, I set the bar really low and just wanted to get started. That's it. Then for Japanese, I didn't really set any goals other than I wanted to be a little more intentional with my studies. And I believe I mentioned Spanish at some point, but you can totally forget about that. As you know, I worked on my master's thesis during the first quarter of this year, so I was pretty busy and any language learning was pretty much off the table. I did try to keep up with my Japanese, but as my deadline approached, I did less and less of that. And even though the topic of my thesis was Japanese and I had to read Japanese papers for that, I don't really consider that studying because I wasn't trying to improve my language skills. Literally the day after I handed in my thesis, I started to learn Korean again because I was just that excited to get back into it. And at first, I just went through the Migaku Fundamentals course because I had
와,
forgotten a lot of the
워,
letters and the sounds.
위.
So I needed to brush up on that. And then I went right into the academy, which I did for quite a few months after that. Just 10 to 15 cards a day, learning the vocabulary and learning the grammar. Back to Japanese, sometime in the spring I found out about the Refold Summer Reading Challenge, which I joined, and as a result of that, I started to read so much Japanese. In fact, I read more this year than I read the 7 years before that combined. So then this year, my reading speed, my reading comfort, and my stamina have all increased so much. I used to get tired after not even 20 minutes of reading, and now I can read 40, 50, 60 minutes, no issue. And I feel like this year, for the first time, I was finally able to read things that were just genuinely fun to read. And I was able to pick up on the author's writing style and on nuances that I wouldn't have before. And some of those books just gave me a really interesting perspective and insight into Japanese culture. I don't know, just being able to appreciate Japanese literature has been a lot of fun this year. Oh yeah, and I ended up creating my own Japanese book club in the Migaku server. And if you want to join, then feel free to do so. We're starting the next round of voting at the end of January. It is completely free. You don't even need to use the Migaku software, and it is targeted at intermediate learners. So if you want to join, I'd be happy to have you. And in case you're curious what I read this year, I will link both my Learn Natively and my book meter down in the description below so you can check that out. But I'm also planning on making a complete separate video on all the books that I read this year. Anyways, back to the timeline. I did Sentence Mind for a good while and I was really diligent with my Migaku memory. And then in August I moved to Japan and obviously had a lot more opportunities to also use my Japanese on a daily basis. So I've been keeping that up for a while, but then since I want to say early November, I've just been reading, haven't sentence mind, haven't even done my reviews, and my Japanese is just kind of rotting away. For Korean, as I said, I worked through the academy course most of the summer and early fall, and sometime during that I also started watching like easy content, beginner content on YouTube, and then later started sentence mining from that content as well, which I felt was really helpful. But then for whatever reason, I just stopped learning Korean at around early November. Finally, for Dutch, I barely read anything this year. I finished maybe one book, but with how much Japanese I read, I'm not too mad about it. Now, my speaking practice, on the other hand, I did practice a little bit. It was just not as frequently and intensely as I thought I would. And it's been really hard because I don't really know where to find people to chat with. I've been trying to look for Discord servers, but I think I'm just gonna have to go back to like Tandem or Hello Talk. Which brings me to my 2026 goals. My 2026 goals are going to be a little more concrete again, even though I already know that the year ahead is going to be just as chaotic. But I feel like having more concrete goals helps me with hitting milestones and giving me direction, so that's what I'm going with. And while we're on the topic of Dutch, let's just go into my Dutch goals. I may or may not have signed up to the polyglot gathering and put my Dutch in a higher level than it actually is. Because I know that if I don't have any external force forcing me to finally speak Dutch, I will just not do it. And I'm hoping that the polyglot gathering and the exam in May that I want to take will help me with that. I haven't decided what level exam I want to take yet, but I need to decide that by February. So I'll see how much progress I can make until then, how I feel about my Dutch then, and then I'll decide if I take the exam at all and what level I'll be taking it at. Now, to catch my Dutch speaking up with my Dutch reading skills and to make it a truly worthy C level, I will have to do a lot of speaking practice, at least daily or bi-daily, I guess. Shadowing, I'll have to find a tandem partner, maybe on Hello Talk or Tandem, as I said. I will definitely also have to look into tutors just to, have someone who will actually correct me and help me with the things that I might not notice otherwise. And then there are a few apps that are more output focused that I would also like to try over the course of the next few months. While my Dutch goals are still rather vague and focus more on habits than like actual numbers, my Korean goals have some numbers in them. I want to read one book. It's going to be my first Korean book. My Korean is definitely not at a place yet where I could read books, but I really hope I can get to a point where I could read at least an easy book by the end of the year. In order to achieve that, I'm going to go through the Korean Academy 2 because that has been out for a while now, and that has given me a lot of structure over the course of the summer and the fall this year. In total, I want to study Korean for 150 hours this year, excluding the Migaku Academy studies. So I will do the academy, and on top of that, I want to do 150 hours, which comes out to about 20 to 30 minutes a day. Those studies will mostly be immersion, like watching videos and reading short stories, but I also want to get into more active grammar studies like building sentences, verb conjugations, and so on. Wow, Emmy, that sounds like a lot. Are you sure you'll be able to do all of that on top of your Japanese studies? Worry not, because my Japanese studies will probably naturally decline once I leave Japan. I've had that happen before. I expect it to happen again. I'm not mad about it. I have very little interest in trying to keep improving my Japanese artificially when I'm very happy with where I am now, just reading books and holding conversations. Depending on how the year goes, especially after the first half, I might sign up for the JLPT next December, but I'm not sure about that yet. There are also a few more books that I would like to read, but if all I'm able to do is keep up with my book club, then that is also totally fine with me. Finally, there is a mystery language that I would like to dabble in this year, and I very conveniently got this textbook as a Christmas gift. Now, there are 12 chapters in this, so I might just go through like one chapter a month, which is really slow. And if I end up not liking it, I'll just drop it, literally like that. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at. Not everything went exactly according to plan, but honestly, I'm not too mad about it. I still feel like I made a lot of progress this year, and I had some pretty important realizations that I will carry with me into the new year that will also inform my future study habits. Let me know in the comments what your goals for this year are. If you had any struggles in the last year, if you hit your goals, maybe didn't hit some of them, and what you're going to change about that. Thanks for watching, and happy language learning!